So I've been theorizing very much. The meaning of life. People say, what is the meaning of life? Have you discovered the meaning of life? The answer to that is yes. Through a whole night of almost fasting to an extent, minorly, really, and thought and meditation and waiting, I've discovered so much about life, what its purpose is, why we're here, and at the same time, space. How science has enhanced my faith. Science has increased my understanding of faith. It's deepened my love of God and made my faith greater. And at the same time, I would not be thinking of what I'm thinking of without the knowledge I've gained through my faith and the church and the learnings from the church. So there's 3 points to life I believe every human being should stick to. Anything outside of these is just distraction and unnecessary. If what you do falls within these 3 things, then that is what you're meant to do. You're meant to be doing it. That's fine. Anything outside of it, in short, don't do it. Live, learn, and love. Now, live is the fundamentals: eating, sleeping, staying healthy, surviving. The necessary, the needs, not the unnecessary. Only the things you physically need to survive. Whether that's keeping warm, whatever it may be, whatever you need to survive is living. And that does not include things like phones, king double beds. It's not. That's luxury. That's unnecessary. Living is what you need. Learning. Every single thing we do, whether it's a success or a failure, is learning. Everything is a lesson. Every single circumstance, everyone we meet, every place we see, everything we hear, explore is learning. Everything we intake, subconsciously and consciously, is learning. And that's what we're meant to be doing as human beings, is exploring, seeing what there is out there, studying, being scientists. Everyone a scientist, experimenting, practicing, checking patterns, looking into diets, the environment, climate change. Everything on earth is a lesson. So learn and be proactive in learning. Don't just... You can always be learning without trying. But I encourage you to be proactive about learning, because then you learn, you just times by however many, 10, 20, 100, the amount you learn. And the more you learn, the more fulfilled life is, the more you can contribute to life. And it's not difficult. Everyone has different gifts, so everyone will learn about different things and then can therefore contribute about that different thing should they need it or need to, which is absolutely. There's not enough sharing of experiences. And finally, love. This is a tricky one because love love everyone. That doesn't necessarily mean be romantic to everyone. Love is not lust. Lust and love are completely different. I've heavily analysed what love is. And it's interesting because a lot of people would say love, and the purpose of love is to eventually reproduce, as other species do, reproduce, create more of. But the fact of the matter is, you can reproduce without love. And you can love without reproducing. Lust and love are different. Lust isn't of the heart, of the flesh, the mind. Whereas love is of the heart, the soul, that feeling. And that's where it gets interesting, because I asked the question, what is the reason for love? Because you can say the reason for learning is to learn more and then help others do this, that, the other. You can change the world through learning. The reason for living is to survive. Without living and doing these things that I listed, eating, sleeping, staying warm, staying healthy, you'll die. So what's the reason for love? Well, the reason for love is one of the first questions I asked, because I concluded through a lot of discussion with God, really. Space. The most incredible. I find space so wonderful. That I want to study it. And that's where science has enhanced my faith. Because when you look at, it's one of the first talks on faith I ever heard was about how science enhances it even more. I hadn't it wasn't said like that, but I realised that's what the speaker was saying, is that when you look at the combination of everything in our solar system, on our Earth, and then how that fits into the galaxy that we're in, and then how that galaxy fits in the universe, we are so astronomically, absolutely astronomic. Like, a billion is probably not even 1% of the amount unlikely to be here, because the circumstances have to be so exact to the millimeter or less, the temperature, to the diameter, to the distance, to the different amounts of minerals, from having the correct moon to orbit, to it's so astronomically impossible. It's probably whatever you want to call it on a scale 1% less than impossible. That there has to be a reason. It can't be coincidence. Because it's too much. We aren't just that little load of microbiological cells under the earth. And that's where evolution comes into it. But speaking of love at the moment, my question was, space is expanding, correct? That's what they say, regardless if it is or not. What we know of space is this big black void filled and littered with infinite, theoretically speaking, objects, planets, stars, gas, debris, rock, ice, water, vapor, whatever you want to call it, everything. That's what we know. But I believe everything is contained in something. Is that not correct? Technically speaking, everything is within something. What is space in? If you were to get to the edge of space, what's on the other side? Is there an edge? If there isn't an edge, why? These are big questions. And through everything, through thinking of our human species, through my faith, through what the Bible teaches, the answer to... Well, first of all, I'll just quickly say what I concluded. The reason for love is love. There is no reason, is there? When you fall in love, there's obviously elements of attraction and elements of compatibility, but why do we do it? Like, what do you gain from it? There must be a gain. And there is. It's that fantastic, beautiful feeling of love. The gain is love. And therefore, the reason for love is love. That's all there is to it. It is mysterious. Love is mysterious. There isn't a clear-cut answer. The reason for love, what is love? It is that feeling. It gives you that feeling of love. So the bigger question to that is, because that doesn't answer what's on the other side of our known universe. Well, obviously there's more universe outside our known universe, but outside of the universe, which must be inside something, and you may be asking, why must it be inside something? Because there is absolutely no chance, it is impossible for the universe to exist without something else. Everything is there because of something else. Now, our understanding is so limited. We are so unable to fathom, not just discover, but probably comprehend, even if we were told, the reason, the what, the why, there is even a universe. Whatever there is out there, the being, the God, whether God is the God, there's a God per galaxy or a God per universe, or whether the universe is part of God, God's body, and then we are created in the likeness of God. What is the purpose of that all? What is the purpose of God? What is the purpose of living and sharing love? So that is the question. What is the purpose of love? And the answer to that is also the answer to what is outside of our universe and why it is there. The meaning of life is love. That's clear cut. And in essence, a simple answer. A simple question. A big question, but a simple answer is there for it. So what is the purpose of love? That is the ultimate, the question that would answer the purpose of everything, of which I believe is not meant to be found easily, or has not been meant to be found yet. Because the edge of the universe, or whatever we are all and everything is contained in, would have been more reachable for us to be able to ask that question more strongly and more people to ask it. But the fact that we can't even get to the edge or get far out enough to even start learning more, perhaps, or even get halfway between us and the edge, the question remains, what is on the other side? And I think it's been purposely designed like that so that we can't easily get to it. And as I say, yet. Perhaps we will, perhaps we never will. I don't know. Maybe the mystery is to remain. Maybe there is no harm in not knowing. But as human beings, I believe we've been created to be curious and explore. And maybe if we knew, it would change everything we would do. Maybe whatever it is so glorious, we'd end up killing ourselves because we know we eventually go there. And that would eradicate our purpose here. But that's the point. We must have a purpose here, and that is to love and grow. Why must we love here? What are we preparing for? Or what are we contributing to on the grander scheme of things? We are so minute in this solar system, let alone the galaxy of which is the Milky Way, and in that, the universe, which holds, in our understanding, infinite, practically, if not realistically, infinite galaxies within the universe of which is this big black space of which we were just hanging about in. Hanging in what? I understand that the majority of planets, what we know in our solar system, and even beyond, all made up of the same things. The likes of water, methane or methane, iron, and it's all so perfectly created. And the answer to a lot of what we seek is actually on Earth. Because this Earth is a representation of the universe, I believe. I wonder whether part of the study on this overnight was how similar are we, or is this Earth and the solar system, to a cell? To a cell that we know with a nucleus. We're feeding off something, the sun being the main part of it, the rest circulating that, which then thinks if we're a cell, if that was to be a cell, it's obviously made up of a greater being. Maybe it isn't the same thing, but we've been given these little beautiful crafted clues as to how we fit in the greater scheme of things. Perhaps we aren't a cell floating around making up part of a crisp packet, or I suppose it needs to be living really, someone's arm, for example, perhaps God's arm, but maybe cells on our level point a direction to how we fit in the grander scheme of things of whatever it is we do not know. So my next step now in this exploration, because I believe the New Testament is how to live love, how to practice love, how to be love, how to live, how we got the perfect example sent from the universe, sent from God himself, the universe, everything we know in human form, so that we could understand it even closer. He put us on a right track, and the fact we've been going for 2,000 years without, I suppose, another Messiah, we might be doing fairly well. I think we need to give ourselves more credit than we perhaps give. We're reaching the point now where perhaps the church and faith is being lost, and I think that's why people need to step up and revolutionize the next generation. To teach, to learn, to live, and to love. So the next step for myself is to look at and to read and really, really go through the Old Testament. Because that I believe, may be more about what love is, rather than how to practice love. I think that might be the purpose of it. You have the first part, which is about what love is, which wasn't enough for humans. For whatever reason, maybe we felt inadequate, maybe we felt like we couldn't live up to such a high bill. But Jesus came and showed us this is what it is, this is how to practice it. So the Old Testament is my next step into the search of the purpose of love, and therefore the purpose of everything, because everything is love. Anything is done with love. It may not be for the right things or the right people. It might be for, as I say, things instead of people. It might be temptation and desire. And that's really what is interesting about love, because from my understanding, a romantic relationship isn't required to live. You can have a beautifully strong relationship, love, with your brothers, with your sisters, and learning. But I believe love as a relationship is almost an admittance of the succumbing to temptation, even if it is an ounce, even if it is a grain of sand. It's an admittance, because you don't need it. But we do that romantic relationship to quench that desire that is underpinning in humans. And God gave us that gift to do so, to quench that desire, but not to abuse it. It's such a fragile, beautiful thing that needs to be nurtured, you need to be aware every single step. Never take it for granted. Now, I haven't gone too much into biblical context at the moment, because I don't think it's necessary. I think biblical context is best for learning of faith, best for learning of the Bible. Faith gives reason to life. It helps us find more of a purpose on life. It helps us find a way to show love. First off, it gives us our purpose, which is to love. It then helps us use what we have already got, our gifts, to show that love in all matters of ways. And then finally, it shows us that life, the reason for life, is love. And that is what I believe faith is for. What God came down to show us is this love. And through that, through learning, you naturally gain a relationship with God, who has just taught you that, as you do a father who's taught you that, a mentor that's taught you that, a teacher, a brother, a sister, a source of information living. You gain that relationship with God through that. And you thank him and you praise him and you are grateful, as you would. And it isn't difficult. You shouldn't be in the situation where you're forcing it, because then your relationship isn't good enough, as in on a human level. If you're forcing a relationship on any level, anywhere, to anyone, then it can only be not strong enough yet, or not strong enough. And I believe that's what the same situation with God is. And I think through learning about life, first and foremost, you gain the relationship. I don't think you can gain the relationship and then learn about life. I didn't go that way. You learn about faith and life, which is pretty much the same thing, really. Faith just gives life its reason, whereas without faith, you're pretty much wandering around, floating around, constantly trying to find purpose in things, in people, in relationships, whether it's lust driven or whatever it is. Maybe it is genuinely love driven, but it might not have purpose. It might be in itself a nice thing, but you're always seeking in everything you do. You're seeking to be more impressive, to attract, to go on adventures and find your purpose, whatever it may be, to find happiness. That is not the reason. You can't find happiness. Happiness is found in finding purpose. Because happiness is like sadness. You don't seek sadness, and you can't really seek happiness. What's more important is seeking contentment. Because that is just knowing you are in the right place at the right time and everything is right. It doesn't necessarily mean everything is right and good in our understanding. An earthquake might be going off. You might be homeless. You may be running out of food. You may be ill. You may be terminally ill. But at that moment, you know your purpose. You know what's going to happen to you. You know that you are loved by a greater being outside this world, the creator of the universe itself, which is love, who showed himself in human form through Jesus, the most incredible person in the world that just defied our physics, which just is another hint into what is outside the universe. It's stuff we can't understand, because walking on water, multiplying food like it's nobody's business, it was everybody's business. It's just the beginning. It's just the edge. It's just the peak of the iceberg. The tip of the iceberg. So that contentment is important. That knowledge in God. So I urge you, first of all, if you listen to this, thank you very much. It means a lot. For my background of magic, it's been incredible. It's got me to where I am. It's built who I am. It's taught me who I am. There's nothing bad against it in the slightest. I love it and I appreciated what I did. But I've changed course now into the form of just trying to love. Doing love. Maybe not trying. Maybe I should be more confident in it. In loving. Because it is easy. When you realise what it is, it's such a fundamental thing. We're born with it. You see children, as soon as they can walk, they get up, they hug their friends. I can probably guarantee that if they had never have seen someone hug someone else, they would do it instinctively. Because it's inbuilt within us. Love. You don't learn it. You may relearn it. I think upbringing in difficult times and circumstances can lose maybe your sense of love or your awareness of love or what love is. And then you have to figure it out again or rediscover it. But, by golly, we know how to love, really. And it's easy. So that's what I find my purpose is now. To love, to share, to bring people together. Using what I've learned in all that magic. And it's interesting because what I want to do now is just absolutely speak truth and nothing but that, sincerely. There's so much deceit, lies, deception, and I mean, I've just described magic. Yes, I have. The motivation for magic isn't devious, or it could be, but it's not negative. The purpose is entertainment. The purpose is to make people laugh. The purpose is to make people happy. So I'm not saying necessarily that all magicians are bad, sort of thing. But for myself now, the place I've reached is that I want to do nothing but the truth. My day of showing a false reality, of an illusion, is done. I just find no satisfaction in that anymore, because I feel like there's so much of that illusion and deception in life generally. Distrust. That there is only time for the truth. It's about time we let truth have its day. As Alfred Pennyworth said in Batman Dark Knight Rises. What a quote. And that's where I'm at. And that's why I wanted to share this with you so sincerely. It's what I wanted to do. What I want to do. All the time. Never cease. It's my purpose to go out and do this. Thank you for listening, everyone. Live, learn, love. Or love, live, learn, or learn, live. Love. They're equal. There's no hierarchy. There's no order to those things. They're all the same. All the same in importance. Thank you very much.